And I'm Kerri.
And we are Paranormal Chicks.
Episode 22.
Yep. And we're doing it early. This is a Sunday.
We are ahead of the game.
Do.
Only because Will's taking vacay.
Yeah.
That jerk gets vacay. Just kidding. Can I come?
And this is what I deal with on the daily, peeps.
I think he's, well, let's not tell his business. Never mind, cut that. I was going to tell him where you're going, Will.
And I'm the one who spills secrets.
They're all going to haunt you down. Haunt you?
Haunt you.
I meant hunt you down and love you, but...
Okay.
What is the thing you always send about our codependency? Like, I'll never let you go or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
With the girl.
I find you.
Yeah.
So, if you listened to last week, well, whatever, coming out, I don't know. I hate this. I feel like I'm in the Twilight
Zone. It comes out
Zone.
tomorrow. Yeah.
So, by the time you're listening to this, you should have listened to the other one. And it was Slender Man.
Mm-hmm.
Slendy, my boo.
I almost said your boo, and I was like, is that weird? Is he going to come after us?
Yeah, I don't want to see you.
No bells binging.
Oh
Jesus
God.
Christ. No bells dinging.
No.
3 times.
I mean, he can ring my bell, but that would be an incubus, and that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, we saw it. It was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't scary. It was more suspenseful.
Yeah, I really did like a couple of times. Like this was the very beginning that I got a couple of jumps.
One, I was waiting, and the music was building, and Tiffany had gotten, like, I don't know, 25,000 napkins and handed them all to me. So, I had threw one on her, and she was like, stop, blah, blah, blah.
Well, because it was like Donna and then Tiffany in the middle and then me on the side.
Yeah, so I had 2 in my hand that she had thrown back on me. And because, yeah, we were obnoxious, but there were like 2 other people in there, so whatever. And they were like in front of us, so they had no idea.
Because it was 10 o'clock in the morning.
10:50, okay? Which, if y'all listened to last week's episode, you know why.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting, the music is building, and I threw him over Tiffany's head and landed on Kerri. Got her good, y'all.
Because, okay, I had on a tank top, and it, like, landed on my skin, on my arm, and so I was like, it's a fucking roach coming at me, or a mouse, or what is on, like, scared the shit out of me. And, of course, as soon as I realized paper towel, my first reaction was, God damn it, Donna! Like, there was no question in my mind that it was her versus Tiffany. It was immediately Donna.
Oh, so funny.
It was funny, though.
Angela, in our group, she said it was like The Ring mixed with Blair Witch, and I feel like that was so accurate.
Yeah.
It was The Ring, as in they watch a film about it, and, like, it shows you all the shit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the same as The Ring, and it still made me think, like, are we opening ourselves up to something? Because I always think maybe that's actually real. Like, someone who's behind this is, like, crazy. And
we all watched this video. Yeah. And now we're all going to be attacked by Slenderman. Yeah.
Oh, this is so silly. But we watched it. And then now, blah. Anyway. But it was scary. Again, in the thinking of it. And so Tiffany was like, it wasn't scary. And so I was like, okay, this is why I'm scared of it. And I went into it and I was like, okay, so the next time you're out at my house and you're outside, you look in those woods and you see and she was like, Donna, don't say that. I'm never going back outside at your house. And I'm like, exactly. Slendy's waiting.
Mm-hmm. But it was cool too I'm glad that we watched it after you did your story, because, like, there were a couple of times I looked at Donna and I was like, oh, because of her story.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. So, I mean, it's a movie I would recommend. Again, no scary movie to me. I'm always going to jump because I'm a scaredy cat. But also, I'm always going to laugh at it, too. Because there's parts where I'm like, are you fucking serious? This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, when it's, like, kind of like sci-fi-y, like...
Yeah, the CGI and stuff.
But, again, it's a scary movie. It's not going to be...
Yeah, it was one of the better scary movies, I feel like.
Too. I think so, too.
The only one that has really scared Kerri recently is that Creation, Annabelle Creation.
Well, and again, I think only because we had just done Robert.
Robert and Shadow People.
Yeah, and so
they were mixed.
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, and so because usually I'm the one that's like completely making fun of it.
Yeah.
Again, I'll jump though. Like if the music's right, like I'm a jumper, but not like a woo jumper, like a ooh jumper.
Yeah. Oh, we need to start recording like video in this so you can see. No, because then you'd be like, are y'all making hand puppets? So we did that. That was like an add-on from my birthday dinner. Because BTW, it was my birthday on the 8th. And I'm 33.
We went to dinner and I ate all the bread. All the fucking bread.
Oh, Lord. Okay, what else did we do? Oh, yeah. We went to Olive Garden.
I didn't eat all the bread there.
No. But then, Kerri, you take it away. It was your afternoon after that.
Oh, okay. So, big news. I bought a house, sort of. We close on the 24th. And so, I made Donna go all around town with me, everywhere. We legit went to probably 10 different places. Like we went everywhere. We have these places here called Dirt Cheap. And it's like if a Target floods or something or has like overstock or gets caught on fire or whatever, like this place gets it. And so it's like almost like a salvage thing where stuff's really cheap.
Sometimes,
yeah. Sometimes they have it marked, which we figured out yesterday when we were shopping, was that sometimes they have it marked higher than Target. So you're like, oh, it's 50% off. And you're like, yeah, but it's $100 more than it is at Target. So really, it's like 20% off.
Very sneaky.
Mm-hmm. I got Google. Don't try to trick me. The house that I'm buying has a swimming pool. Y'all, this is like my dream house. It has exposed brick on the inside for a fireplace. It has exposed beams in the living room. And it has an in-ground swimming pool. Yeah,
like a cement pond.
I am like living the dream. Like, could this year, I mean, like, I don't even want to say this because I don't want to curse myself, but this year has been amazing. Like, it's just like my life is finally coming together. After all these years of school and all these years of, like, my life being on hold while I went back to school and then in grad school and blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my God, I'm finally going to own something. And my life is going to settle and we're going to have a place to actually do better lives and not a creepy dungeon.
Right.
That is these moving blankets. We're going to, Anyway. And so we went shopping for just like house stuff.
Yeah.
And I bought, because Wayfair had a sale going this weekend. And so I got a desk for my office that we were going to record at and an entertainment center.
That we're going to watch TV at?
Yes.
Because I'm going to be there all the time.
Because I have good internet, or will.
And a built-in pool.
Yeah. So basically I spent all the money in the world on stuff for around the pool, including pillows.
No furniture. Pillows.
Yeah, no furniture. Still don't have furniture for out there. But anyway, so we had fun. Well, I say we had fun.
No,
I think we had fun.
We really did.
We just shopped till we dropped.
Yeah. Y'all, if y'all are in the group, you know, I told y'all my Flintstone feet, they were dead. Dead.
Donna was like, there were a couple of stores I just left her out in the truck. And because
it was so fucking hot.
It legit was a scorcher. Like, I think that it was like at least 90% humidity.
Yeah.
And well on its way to 100
and
degrees.
We were there at like 12:30.
Yeah.
So sometime, and then we went to Joann's and the air was not working.
Oh yeah, that was because that was the first place we went after lunch. Because we went after the movie, we went to Olive Garden, and then
it's right next to
and so we were like, okay, let's just go over to Joann's because they had all that Creep It Real stuff.
Yeah, big mistake. That should have been our last place. Because once you're hot, it's so hard to get cool.
Yes,
but yeah, it was good.
I did get a lot of stuff though.
Me too, and I wasn't shopping for me.
Oh my God!
But I got
Tell them about the picture you got.
I got an alpaca picture.
It's like a canvas tall picture, like
black
those
and
tall
white.
Skinnies. It's so cute. I was like, "You're buying that." She was like, "Should I?" I'm like, "Yes, get it. You have to get this."
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's crazy, like, how on trend you were with this without even realizing you were on trend.
I
like,
know.
Who knew that llamas and alpacas were going to blow the fuck up?
I don't know.
And creep it real.
Right? The universe loves us this year.
The universe is like, look, the past few years have been shitty.
Yes.
Here's something.
Here's a reprieve.
Yes. Good word.
Thanks.
So, yeah. So, new house, who dis? August 24th, signing it, and then painting it.
Oh, Lord, then moving in it.
Oh, my God. I know. And then it's Donna's turn.
6 months later.
So, yeah. So, that's all of our news, I think, now that we've been talking for 4 hours and haven't gotten to the stories yet.
Ugh, I know, people. I'm sorry.
But so much to tell.
You know, we like to be an open book with y'all.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was like, should I tell them about the house? Because, you know, we're still 2 weeks away from the closing date. And part of me is so terrified that this owner is going to back out. And so I was like, I don't really want to tell them, you know, because I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, they can be mad with me if he backs out.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's not going to back out. It's going to be great. It's going to be mine.
Yeah.
You know?
Hers/ours, because, you know.
We're codependent. She ain't paying the bills, though. Dead bitch. Let's do a quick little side note of a shout out to our new Patreon patrons.
Yeah.
I never know what to say. I'm like, Patreon. I guess that's right.
Members of the Creepinati.
That's what we should say.
Yes.
Remind me. But, so, Nicole S.
Manda S. And she was mentioned last episode, but she upgraded her membership. So shout out to you, girlfriend.
Dang, get it. And then lastly this week, Marie S.
Thank you. All S's. That means y'all are super spooktacular
sisters.
Aw.
Of the Creepinati.
That's right. Yes.
I love it. Thank y'all so much. We're so appreciative, and we hope that, I don't know.
You creep it real.
Yeah.
Bam. All right. Let's get cozy. Not you, because you'll fall asleep.
I'm already cozy.
Oh, gosh. Marley is too. She is out. All right. We are going to St. Louis, Missouri.
With the arches?
Yeah, sure. No, yeah.
I never know if it's arc or arch.
I think an arc is...
Not like Noah, but like an arc,
yeah,
you know, like...
It's like the... I hate to say column, but it's like a rounded...
Well, that's what those are, though.
But those are more like the arches of McDonald's.
I don't know the difference. Someone, can you dumb this down for us?
McDonald's is like thin and long. The arcs are short and fat like me. Right? They got a little extra in the middle.
Like Ashley said the other day, they got some cornbread on them.
Yeah. Little in the middle, but they got much back. What song's from?
Thing.
What?
The booty thing.
What? There's Cisco. There's so many things with the booty. You
like
literally, yes. I was like, you literally just said Sir Mix-a-Lot before we started taping.
Okay. Here we go. According to Google, arc is not an actual structure. It serves only to define a shape of a real structure, like the curve. The arch is the structure.
Well, that's still true, though, what I said. Because...
It has nothing to do with one being skinny and one being fat.
It's a rounded. Arcs, the structure inside. Skinny. The arch is what's around it.
No.
Oh.
No. The arc is the shape of it. The arch is the actual structure.
Oh.
I was like...
When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong.
She was wrong. I may have downloaded Fishdom that you posted.
Did you really? Are you fucking kidding me? Y'all. Okay, so if you're in the group, and I know we say that a lot, but this group is fucking awesome. But I was on Facebook, and you know, well, I think y'all know, that I hate fish, like afraid of fish. And one of the sponsored ads was this Fishdom thing. And I was like, I screenshot it and sent it to the group and was like, who the fuck is targeting their ads? Because they suck. Because there's nothing about me that says, I like fish.
Yeah.
So they're wasting money targeting someone like me.
Oh, we did talk about this because you wouldn't even sit next to the aquarium.
Oh, yeah, with
at
the turtles.
sushi. Yeah.
Well, it's the water more so than the turtles there. But anyway, so that's what Kerri's talking about, the fish stone. And then this bitch is going to get it.
Well, because...
Like, what is it? That's stupid.
Well, then Emily said she was on level 902. And so...
902?
Yeah, so I was like, well, that just sounds like some Candy Crush and Toy Blast to me. I got to get this.
Oh, my God.
So I just downloaded it today.
What are you on?
Oh, I literally just turned it on when we started recording.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Y'all, Lord.
No, I'm on level 2.
We're going to talk about Lemp Mansion and Brewery. So, like with many other hauntings and shit, there's always something tragic that happens long before that leaves in negative energy, you know? I mean, not all the time, but most of the things we've covered, it's been something that's happened, then they built over it or whatever, and then blah. So, according to legend, the land that I'm going to talk about, that spot, it has caves underneath it. So it's almost like tunnels. Mm-hmm. According to legend, there was a young Indian woman who fell in love with one of her tribesmen. And he was like, yeah, girl, I love you too. Ditto. But she was already promised to the Indian chief. Yeah. And he was like violent.
Oh, no.
You know, like a fucking jerk. Well, her lover, you know, her Romeo, he was like, look, we got to get away. You're going to have to marry him and no telling what he's going to do to you. And I can't live without you. So he's like, let's go through the tunnels and we're going to escape. So they hid there and we're like, we're going to wait till they search, you know, and where coast is clear. So the chief somehow tracked them through the cave. And so... not through, to the cave. So they were stationed on the outside either way. So they were trapped in there. So rather than surrender to the chief, the couple stayed in the cave until they starved to death. Fast forward many years later, and the tale was repeated to the white explorers that came over. You know, everyone thought it was just a legend, lore, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then they found 2 skulls in there and some other bones in there. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think they tracked it to whatever, but it's like, okay.
God, how many days were they down there? You know what I mean? To get to where they literally starved to death. Like,
yeah.
I'm like 2 weeks.
Oh, my God. And I know how I feel when it's lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
my hangry monster.
Yeah.
I'd have done broken up with him and been like, fuck you, I'm going to get food.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, you're cool and all, but I'm fucking hungry.
Yes. Well, at that point, I feel like the chief would have killed them anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, but he may have tortured them.
True. Well, what is...
True.
Being hungry? I mean, it's torture either way. I guess at least they're doing it to themselves.
And together.
Yeah, and together.
And not have... Well, you still have to watch the other one tortured, but...
Yeah.
Golly.
We're not romantic at all. We're like, look,
girl got to eat. Meanwhile, I'm like, you could have just, like, married the chief because he's the fucking chief and had your side piece.
Yep. But he was really mean.
Well, so. Marry him and then poison him.
Damn.
I watched Snapped.
You read about, who's that lady you did? Nanny Kerri?
Nanny Doss?
Nanny Doss. Okay. While people started to explore down there, they also heard ghostly sounds of crying and weeping. And then they would hear some voices that spoke in a dialect that no one knew. And so, could their souls be down there and in this turmoil and torture, you know? Okay. So, the property I'm about to tell you about was featured in a 1970 issue of Life magazine, and it was ranked as one of the 9 most haunted places in America.
Dang.
Yeah. So what's even more sad than like hauntings and even the Indian people, this family had so many like wrong things happen. They thought they were cursed, like the whole family.
Damn.
And shit, because it was like real. You're about to hear it.
Is this the story of the clan of the Easterlings and the Elwins?
Yeah.
Except this year.
Yep. This year, looking up.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because we started a podcast and we're doing what we love.
Yep.
So it's, you know, we're having like more positive energy.
Yeah.
And all of that. So, yep. So, Johann Adam Lemp left Germany and was like going to America. He settled in St. Louis in 1838 and he opened up a grocery store and he sold beer that he brewed in the grocery store. It's from a family recipe, you know. So by 1840, so that's 2 years later, the demand for his beer had gotten so popular, he closed the grocery store and established Western Brewery. Every time I say brewery, all I think about is brouhaha.
Yes.
Okay. So the beer he made was lager. Like he was I think the first.
Damn.
To bring that over. Or to make it popular, I guess. So he bought property near a natural limestone cave. The cave that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. The Cave of Wonders.
Yes. Of 2 dead people. So not
Womp
wonder.
womp.
Yeah. What is the Cave of Wonder? Is that from Aladdin?
Yeah.
Okay. So he found the cave and that's where he stored his lager. This was before refrigeration.
Yeah.
So the cave was perfect because it was cool. And he made it cooler because he actually carved ice blocks from the frozen Mississippi River and would put it down there.
Huh.
He was like a fucking smart person. Ingenuity.
Yeah, but what did he do the rest of the year when the Mississippi River wasn't frozen?
I don't know. Shut up.
I mean, I feel like if it's at a point in time when the Mississippi River will be frozen, it's cold enough outside that you wouldn't need it.
Maybe because it's cool down there, it stayed frozen longer.
Maybe.
I mean, it was the original Yeti. Like, take that 24 hours or whatever it is. 2 days. You know, Yeti.
Yeah. I think
what is it?
I think it's like
2 weeks.
something. I don't know. I use the cheaper brand.
Mm-hmm.
Literally using an Orca right now.
Did you just call me a whale?
I almost pulled a Donna and spewed coffee out my nose. That would have sucked.
Yeah, because it would have been on our fucking equipment.
And then I would have been sick for 3 fucking weeks with coffee nose, like you had tea nose.
You'd have brewed boogers.
Brouhaha.
Is that how you would sneeze?
Oh my god, we're so stupid.
Yes, we are. Okay. I can't see now. Okay, if I would have read down more, I knew this is... I read it earlier, and I was like, damn, that sounds really... Okay, so yeah, he was the first brewer in St. Louis to manufacture lager, like I said. So I was right.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something about the ice, but...
Oh, no. By 1860, he was the leader in St. Louis beer brewing. He brought his only son, William, into the business, and he was even better at the business than his father.
Get it?
So his father died in 1862, and William continued. Mm-hmm. Once he controlled the Western Brewery, he was like, okay, having to go to the cave, buy a wagon, and get everything. He's like, no. Let's build a new brewery. And it's directly over those caves. So it's more of like you go down a staircase, like a spiral staircase.
Which I would bust my ass on.
Right. But you know what I mean? So it's like right there. So the complex he built included a larger brewery, offices, ice house, and bottling plant. It took up a whole city block and was constructed using the latest in technology there.
Cool.
Yeah, because, you know, they rolling in the dough now.
Yeah.
Because people love their fucking beer.
Right.
So by 1877, he renamed it to Lemp Brewery.
Gotcha.
By 1877, Lemp Brewery was ranked 19th in the country in terms of distribution reach, size, and success. Anheuser-Busch, another St. Louis-based brewing competitor, was ranked 32 that year.
Damn.
Yeah. So in 1861, William married Julia, and Julia's father, Jacob, built what's now known as the Lemp Mansion, but he had help from William to build it. Well, in 1876, William actually bought the mansion, and he renovated it to be even more grand. So him and Julia moved into the house and made it as like state of the art as they could at that point. In 1876, William was the first St. Louis brewer to install the refrigerated area in his facility. So that freed him up from the caves. So in time, since they're closed, they're no longer used for the storage, they were actually converted to almost like a private underground hangout where it had a theater, a bowling alley, and a concrete-lined swimming pool, complete with hot water piped in from the brewery.
Damn.
Yeah. So can you imagine?
In a cave?
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, this is a whole block long and crap. And you know I could not be swimming up in that fucking pool. Okay, so between the years of 1862 and 1883, William and Julia had 9 children. 1 died in infancy. Then they had Anna, William Jr., Louis, Charles, Frederick, Hilda, Edwin, and Elsa. Okay, so then William appointed William Jr., which he was called Billy, and Louis. So they became, you know, like
the head guys, like the operators.
Yeah. Well, Billy was known as the fucking playboy, and Louis was like the one who wanted to do fast sports and stuff. Like he was a horse breeder, a racer, you know,
like an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Because they had too much fucking money.
Yes.
Do they want to share some?
Okay, so Billy eventually married a lady named Lillian Hanlon, and she was a wealthy socialite known for her beauty and like her wardrobe, and you know, it was all so lavish. And she had like a fondness for lavender clothing, lavender scent, everything lavender. She even had her horse-drawn carriage in lavender. So from that, people called her the Lavender Lady.
Okay.
So even though Billy was appointed vice president by William, the son Frederick was actually said to be his favorite son and first choice to run the company if he died. So Frederick was like, okay, they might be the top dogs, but I'm going to get this one day. And so he was like in it to win it, learning everything he could. But then Frederick began to have health problems and he passed away. And it was due to mysterious circumstances, but another says the cause of death was heart failure. So William had taken the death of his son really hard.
Yeah.
And so his friend said that he never recovered from that news.
Do you ever really?
Right.
As a parent ever?
So William would go through the motions for like 3 years. He'd go to work, just stare off, you know, not doing anything. So on the morning of February 13th, 1904, William was alone in the Lemp mansion, except for the servants, because, you know, they had several. He was laying in the bed on his second floor bedroom, and he shot himself in the head. He died later that day, and at the time, his brewery was valued at $6 million.
Cool.
And his personal assets at $10 million.
Shit.
Yeah.
In 1890, whatever.
In 1904.
60. Oh, 1904. And here comes Prohibition.
Okay, so then a year later, William's widow at the time, Julia, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she suffered until March of 1906, and she died in the same bedroom where William had shot himself.
Bless it.
Just 2 years earlier.
God.
So, in November of 2004, Billy took over as president of the brewery, and so him and Lillian, the lavender lady, they began to spend the money big time. William basically had Lillian as a trophy wife. To make everyone jealous, you know, and be like, look what I can get. Well,
meanwhile, he's probably sticking an extra large pizza behind the scenes.
Exactly right. He likes to stuff that crust.
Oh my God, that was good. That was good. That was good. I wish I could have seen her movement too.
Okay. Well, he was also a player. Remember, I said he was known as a player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he really was. He really was.
Yeah. So he started to demand her spend her time shopping. So he started giving her $1,000 a day.
What?
Yeah. And he said, you have to spend it. If you don't spend it, I won't give you any more.
What?
But he wanted her to be out so he could be in somebody else.
But I mean, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money now.
Yeah, per day.
So back then,
that girl had lavender everything. She probably bedazzled her fucking vagina with a lavender merkin.
Like, she's twerking her merkin with lavender.
Yes.
No, legit. Like, what could you possibly, in that day and age, buy with that money every day?
A fucking house?
I mean, yeah. You would be like...
Yeah. Well, but they're rich, so of course they have to have the best. So someone's going to be like, let me open up a Coach. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's like, this shirt, $500.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah.
There's always someone that's just going to remarket it for luxury.
True.
But also they like horses and shit.
So true.
Like us, that would get us a whole lot of shit.
It's so much shit.
Yeah. But for them, I mean, they thinking like higher ups. You know, we could not even fathom that amount of money.
No, fuck no. That's like...
Yeah. Like $30,000 a month.
That's like almost, it's like $360,000 a year.
Just in spending.
No. That's $3 million, I think. Let me do that math again.
Perfect.
What did we say? $1,000 a day? Oh no, I was right. $365,000.
Damn. Could I please make that? Could I make like a fourth of that?
Gosh, can you? How do you?
Whew. I know. Okay, so she's spending her money. I picture montage of Pretty Woman.
Yes,
on
me too.
Drive. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, William was holding lavish parties in the caves below. He would bring in sex workers, you know, of those parties that you would think of where illegal shit goes down. It was here.
I'm picturing craps tables, blackjack, lots of sex.
Well, bowling alley, theater.
Movies.
Porno.
Bow chicka bow wow.
So, eventually, as shit happens, it caught up with him.
As it does.
And old Billy Boy had a son with someone else. It gets worse. So, there's no documentation that this boy existed, but other people have said that it was true. And a St. Louis historian, Joe Gibbons, said the boy did exist, but this boy stayed in the attic his whole life.
No.
And he was born with Down syndrome.
Poor baby.
Yeah. And so at that point, they didn't know at that or whatever. So he was like banished because 1, he was illegitimate, and 2,
he had a disability.
Yes. So he is known as, this is terrible, the monkey face boy. Yes.
Oh my God.
So that's terrible, like somber mood, but let's keep going. Billy and Lillian ended up, let's get a divorce. She was like, look, you're spending a lot of your time doing other shit. I'm going to take our son and I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So she filed for divorce in 1908, and she said it was on the grounds of mistreatment and desertion. She claimed that he brought women into their home, entertained them in their private spaces.
Don't do that. You know what? It's one fucking thing for you to cheat on somebody. Do not fucking do it in your bedroom that you share with your spouse.
Right.
That's fucked up.
Or where your kids eat.
Don't fucking do it, period.
Right. So, in return for that, Billy accused Lillian of Victorian female infractions, such as using foul language and constantly wearing lavender in public as a ploy for attention from others.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, news of the divorce of, a millionaire, and she was an heiress almost of other things. So, people like us were like, skirt. What's going down?
You know what that reminded me of, though? Just like the stuff that they basically, like their grounds for divorce. Do you know in Mississippi and in some states still, you can sue for abandonment of affection? Like, so like, let's say that I was married and you had an affair with my husband and we got divorced. I could sue you for abandonment of affection.
Yeah, someone sued R. Kelly.
That is nuts.
He was like a law officer or something here in Mississippi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And R. Kelly and his wife had a thing, and then they continued to have a thing, like had it back in the day.
Yeah.
Then she moved to Georgia and actually got him, like their family moved to Georgia and was like, we need to do this for our, the good of blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, she's with R. Kelly letting him piss on her. And so that guy did. He sued for...
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I keep it with R. Kelly news, apparently. But, yeah, crazy.
But anyway, yeah, I don't even know what just happened. But that, like, blows my mind that you can... Like, you gotta be careful. People will do... Like, you gotta watch your back.
Yes.
Because, fuck.
Everyone pretty much virtually ignored all of William's wrongdoings. Yeah. And Lillian almost lost custody of William III because of a photograph that was presented at trial that showed her smoking a cigarette. But in the end, she retained custody and kind of retired from the public eye, went and lived their best life.
Fuck.
Whatever.
Meanwhile, everybody smoked back then.
Right. Like
everybody smoked up until like 1984. And then everybody sold to us closetly. Still.
Right.
Closetly? That's not a word.
No, but okay.
Closeted. Whatever. I don't fucking matter.
Lillian was awarded the largest monetary divorce settlement in the state history at that time.
Good for her. Fucking get it.
So then Billy, he's on the downward slope now. He fucked other people and he got fucked.
Yeah, she took all his money and his kid.
Yep. And then, like you said, Prohibition, 18th Amendment in 1920. And so other breweries like Anheuser-Busch and stuff, they started doing non-alcoholic beverages to keep the lights on and shit. Well, he was like, no, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, whatever,
How?
They didn't.
Okay.
So, but he was bitter and blah. So he was like, whatever. And a lot of people say that they were so wealthy that they, even losing the shit, I mean, they had so much money.
Yeah. I tell you what, his wife got out at the perfect time, though, because she got money while the getting was good, and then shit went downhill from there.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Billy's sister, Elsa, she was, I'm trying to think, blah, 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 blah. But, so, well, I mean, I hate to say that, but we don't know a whole lot about her, and then it goes into, like, this whole blurb about her marriage or some shit. But anyway, all you have to know, in 1920, she shot herself in the head while laying in bed after a night of insomnia.
What?
Yeah. Upon hearing the death of his sister, Billy was like, well, that's the Lemp family for you. Because his dad had done it. Now his sister. So in June of 1922, Billy sold the brewery for basically nothing. And so that just like added to his depression, feelings of failure, you know. On December 29th, 1922, Billy sat at the desk in his office on the first floor of the mansion and shot himself through the heart.
Oh my God.
It was the same office his father had killed himself in.
I thought his dad shot himself in the bedroom. They had rearranged?
No, yes. He used it as an office.
Gotcha.
Yes. I was like, wait, but yeah, that's what happened. Come to me, Billy, and tell me if I'm right.
Don't be summoning that shit. You made me go up an octave with that.
Marley looked up and was like, skirt.
No. Marley's ears were like, that was really high pitched.
Marley said, simmer down. I'm trying to sleep here.
Your shrill voice is fucking annoying.
Oh, gosh. Okay. William III, William's son, that with Lillian and stuff.
I know how those work.
Well, I'm just, fuck you. Okay.
Oh, God.
So he tried to bring Lemp beer.
Sorry, I've been dying to say it. Okay. I'll shut up now.
You're just hungry, so shut up. So after Prohibition was repealed, he's like, let's bring it back. You know, it was booming one time. We got this. But shit didn't happen because the country estate he was living in got foreclosed upon. His marriage ended the same year.
Oh, shit.
It was like a ugly divorce, just like his father's.
Do we know why?
But it said that he died an untimely death of a heart attack at the age of 42.
Oh, shit. All that damn stress.
Yeah. So then in 1929, Billy's brother, who was reclusive, he never married. His name was Charles Lemp. He moved back into the Lemp mansion with his dog. Okay, so Charles and his dog moved to the Lemp mansion. He reportedly never entertained or enjoyed social outings. Again, reclusive, blah, blah, blah. Those who knew Charles described him as a sour, angry man. In 1941, Charles sent a letter to a local funeral home giving them explicit instructions. In the event of his death, he requested that his body not be bathed or changed during being cremated. He wanted no funeral service or published obituary. 8 years later, Charles shot his dog and then himself in the Lemp mansion. He was the last to occupy the home. The Lemp.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Why'd he kill his dog?
Because in his head, like, the dog would starve or something.
Yeah,
no, he was a recluse. Yeah. So.
No, I mean, I get it, but.
I know.
I wonder if he still had servants or if he was by himself. And if he was by himself, how long before somebody found his body?
I don't know. Ugh, God. So, Edwin, he was the youngest brother. He lived a long, reportedly happy life to the age of 90.
Damn.
And he had a country retreat. So he was the last of William Sr.'s children to die. And he was a lifelong collector of artworks and artifacts from his world travels. He was the recipient of many luxurious items from the estate of his wealthy family. So Edwin requested that all items be destroyed after his death.
What?
Yeah, it said no explanation was given, but it's been speculated that the request was due to his fear that the Lemp curse might live on in the family heirlooms.
Yeah.
All that history, I know it was a lot, but I mean, you had to...
No, I love it.
Figure out, like, okay, all these suicides, all these, like, weird deaths, like, with the heart stuff, but it's, like...
Yeah.
Early ages and blah. So, it's thought that 5 or 6 of the members of the Lemp family, an unknown entity in the basement, and a dog still call the place home.
The dog?
Yeah. It said that they've all been really pleased with what the owners have done in restoring the mansion, besides the grump in the basement.
With his dog?
Probably.
Poor guy.
Before it's been restored, the Lemp mansion was a boarding house after Charles's death, and then it just kind of got deteriorated. But Richard Pointer purchased it in 1975 and converted it to a restaurant. So as they worked on the renovations, the Pointers experienced a number of unexplained occurrences. Richard was pointing... Oh my God, his name's Pointer, Donna. Okay. Richard was pointing in the bedroom. Richard Pointer was painting Billy Lemp's former bathroom, and he was frightened into leaving early. Fuck! He was frightened into leaving early. So he described the event. He said, I was painting the bathroom by myself. There was no one in the house, but I felt someone behind me watching me. I mean, it was a terrible feeling. The most burning sensation you can ever have. I get goosebumps just now thinking about it. I turned around and nothing was there. I started working again and got the same feeling. So without looking behind me, I cleaned my paintbrushes and got the hell out.
Damn.
So then he hired a local artist to restore the hand-painted ceilings.
Ooh.
Because, you know, they had to have all the money when it was done, and to restore it, you got to do the same shit. So, Richard Pointer, you got a son or anything? Grandson?
Mean, look, you want to adopt me, sister wife?
But he did not know of anything. He didn't say, like, look, I had this weird experience. The ceiling painter, he had a similar experience. He said that he was on the scaffolding, lying on my back, painting the ceiling in the dining room. He got the feeling that someone was staring at him. He felt as though they were in the hallway just outside the room, but he couldn't see anything through the frosted glass door. He went on working, and about an hour later, the feelings returned. It was weird. I felt like I just had to get out of there right then. And so he did. He didn't even clean up. He was like, you got a ghost in there or something, to the guy.
Yeah.
So Richard's son, Dick, he was sleeping alone, except that he had his dog, Shadow. It was a Doberman Pinscher. Okay, so he and Shadow awoke to what sounded like a loud bang or kick outside his bedroom door. Looked, nothing's there. The dog couldn't find anything. Nothing. One night, Dick was closing the restaurant with an employee, and they heard 2 keys being played on the piano, but no one else was there. They looked around, because like they knew no one else was there, but then they're like, hey, let's look around.
Somebody could be fucking with us.
Yeah, no one. Like, so many people have had unexplained shit happen, too. A candle on the mantle would light itself.
What?
Yeah. A drawer in a furniture piece that belonged to the Lemps, it will open and close without anyone's help.
Because it was supposed to have been destroyed.
Right.
I knew somebody kept some shit.
Always do. Always.
Somebody always got to play with fucking fire.
Legit. Okay. So, objects disappear and then reappear in different locations. Like Robert the freaking doll. They hear disembodied voices. They hear the horse hooves and stuff. Okay, so the Pointers say that they lost a lot of employees over the years due to some of this shit. One was a former oh my God.
Former rapist?
A former waitress, Bonnie Strayhorn. She said, early one morning, I was going through the house, making sure that everything was as it should be as the restaurant opened, when I noticed a dark-haired man seated at the table in what was originally the Lemp family dining room. He was facing away from me, so all I could see was the outline of his shoulders and head. I was surprised to see someone in the restaurant so early, but I asked if he wanted a cup of coffee. He did not answer. When I looked away for a moment to flip the light on, I turned around and he had vanished. She quit her job that day. She was like, it was impossible for a man to be sitting there and leave. Like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to do it. Like I said, I mean, it has all the normal things. Apparitions, voices, sounds, doors locking and unlocking, the piano bar playing on its own, like I've said. There's 3 areas that are known as having the most activity. The stairway, attic, and I said it right.
Woohoo.
And the basement, which was used as an entrance into the caves. And the caves are known as the gate to hell.
Jeez.
Yeah. So a lot of strange occurrences are often witnessed on the 3rd floor as well, because that's where Monkey Face Boy haunts.
Can we just call him the illegitimate child or something, which is not just as bad, but bad too? God, that poor baby.
I'm just going to call him MFB.
No. Let's just call him Bob.
Okay, Bob.
Poor Bob.
Okay, so the face of Bob has... See,
Bob don't like you talking ugly about him.
Okay. The face of Bob has regularly been seen from the street, and people are like, oh, fuck. And I mean, he's got a distinctive look.
Mm-hmm.
So they see that. And also, investigators will leave toys there, and they'll be gone or, like, moved. Then in the downstairs women's bathroom, many women have reported a man peeking over the stall.
What?
It is said to be the womanizing Billy.
I was just about to say that motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
Always trying to get a nuts. What's up?
He wanted that glory hole.
I mean.
In William Lemp's room, guests have reported hearing someone running up the stairs and kicking the door. When William killed himself, Junior was known to have run up the stairs and kicked the door trying to get to his father.
Oh.
Yeah. One paranormal investigator felt something tugging on his hair outside the attic in the hallway, and it was just outside, you know, where Bob is.
Yeah.
It's like, he just wants attention and love. Gosh. Okay. Another spot is the main stairway, like I've said. They've heard the running up the stairs.
Yeah. Kicking in the door.
Mm-hmm. Lots of orbs going up and down, you know, when videos and photos are taken. And a feeling of being watched is a common report. The back stairway, the panting of a dog, clicking of his nails, and dragging of his chain can be heard on the stairway. Said still looking for his beloved Master Charles.
I think they're together.
I think so, too.
Because if that grumpy old man in the basement is there, then they're together.
Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, they would know. He's just a dog. He needs to explore sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 2nd floor is William Lemp's suite. A white apparition of an older gentleman has been seen with a 2-inch beard in the sitting room by the window. And a presence was felt near the mirror on the large closed closet. Whew. That was a lot.
It was a tongue twister.
In the Lavender Lady Suite, a strong scent of lavender has been noticed. And it also sometimes, like, permeates the furniture as well. What?
Why is her scent there? If she went off and, like, lived her own life and...
I don't know. Probably... Well, again, we don't know why certain spirits choose certain places. Like, I feel like she has a lot of torment that went on there and just, like, no closure, maybe?
Maybe.
And, like, I mean, that's like how he said, can I say, like, one more fucking time? Old Charleston Jail. Why would Ghost choose a prison to haunt?
Well, and I guess, too, like, after you die, are you always a ghost? Or do you go on, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I have no idea. I don't think so. I feel like people who just have
unfinished business kind of thing?
Yeah, unfinished and not unfinished, like, I have to do something and then I'll pass over. It's
lack of closure kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like Bob never having the love, never having the attention. He's going back looking for something.
Yeah.
You know, he can't pass over or whatever. You know, like he's not 100% ready. I don't know.
I don't either.
Someone's listening and they're like, no, that is not how this works. Can you send us an email and tell us, please?
Well, but too, I mean, it depends on what your beliefs are. Because, I mean, if you're Christian, then you think, no, we go to heaven, you know. Or hell. And so, but some people...
Purgatory.
Yeah, but some people don't even believe in heaven or hell. And that we just all exist on kind of this plane of existence and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, clearly we'll never know. Until we die.
Which I don't want to be soon.
No.
Okay. So, sorry we went off on that. So, lavender lady. Lavender smell in the room, in the furniture. A shadow has been seen slipping through the crack in the bathroom door. The locked door to this room has been found standing wide open on several reports. Like, the first floor has the piano that we've mentioned before. Drinks at the bar have been known to stir themselves, and glasses will move and break themselves as well. The paintings in the Lavender Lady's dining room, which was originally Billy's office and William Lemp's study. Did I say this? Sorry. The paintings of people in the dining room seem to follow you as you move. Do not like those.
No.
An investigator from the Missouri Ghost Hunter Society was pushed out the door of this room by a male presence. He said, GTFO.
Wonder how they knew it was male.
I don't know.
Me neither.
I guess that's why you wonder.
I guess that's why I asked.
Well, we might not know much, but we know why you asked. Okay, so I found a website called Legends of America, and it was a little like forum. But on Saturday, October 9th, 2004, Kathy Weiser and Amy Stark, they visited the mansion with that historian, Joe Gibson. He will give the tours of the inn when the owners will allow him to and stuff. So they met up at the bar, settled in. He was telling them all about every detail. You know, this is from this, and they had the, you know, like, the mirror was like a gilded mirror from blah, blah, blah. Because he knows, like, everything because he's been studying this history for so long. She said, while they were on the tour, several strange events occurred. The first, they were standing in the darkened attic, which he described Bob, and she was snapping pictures in the room. And she said that when she was doing that, she was approached by a woman who had joined their quote-unquote unofficial tour. That sounds like something we would do, be like, oh, what they doing? Let's go see. She wanted to know if my shadow would appear on the wall when I took a picture. And so she was like, no, because the flash is in front of me. Like, this is how this works. She said that when Kathy took a picture, she saw a distinct shadow of a person against the wall.
Damn.
And she said that she scrolled back through her pictures, but she couldn't find anything of the shadow. But how strange.
Yeah.
They also heard of the voice of a child, which would be Bob, we're thinking, over and over say, help me, help me.
Do we know, well, obviously we don't even know that Bob existed, but do we know how old he would have been when he died?
I think 30.
Okay.
And he was buried on the property or like in their thing. But it said all he had was like the flattened plate. You know how some graves have like just the headstone, but it's like a small marker. And it just said Lemp on it.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just going to read this as Kathy because it's easier.
Okay.
No, I don't know what she sounds
Stop
like.
that.
Oh, God. As we began to make our way down the stairs, we passed William Lemp Sr.'s room. Amy pulled me aside because the door was standing wide open with the key in the door. Not going in, we just peeked. We continued our journey down the hall when an alarm was raised by one of the guests in the room. When they arrived back from dinner, they found the door wide open and were looking for a manager. However, there was no key in the door when they arrived. The manager quickly responded that it was impossible because there had to be a key in the door, as there were only 2 keys to that room, one in the hands of the guest and the other in the manager's hands. So who opened the door, and where was the key that we saw when we passed? Mm-hmm. Later, several members of the group would describe having passed a man in the hallway holding a key in his hand and described as acting irritated with the large group moving through the hallway. He was described as pale, older, and wearing a white shirt and black pants. No one thought anything of it at the time, believing he was a member of the staff.
Yeah.
However, we would find out there is no such gentleman working or staying at the mansion that met that description. Though no harm was done and nothing was disturbed in the guest room, it was just very bizarre.
Yeah. That's probably the clothes that he killed himself in.
Probably. Everyone was congregated around Charles's room. The guest that was staying in the room, they allowed them around to look, Well, they both sensed a heaviness in the room, but it wasn't the room where Charles shot himself. It was in the parlor area. One of the women who had joined their group told a story of how she had been married in the mansion a year earlier and had carefully laid her dress and other items on the bed. She then turned away from the bed for a moment, but when she turned back, all the items were scattered. Outside of Charles's room, one member of the group reported smelling cigar smoke. On the first level of the mansion, the dining room to the left of the entryway once served as Billy's office, which is where he killed himself. In the corner of the room was his desk, where he sat with his gun in his final moments. The temperature in this room was considerably colder than in the rest of the room, like that one spot. On the wall, the painted portrait of Lillian, the lavender lady, she actually smelled lavender by the portrait. Okay, this was a reader submission in 2004 on that same thing. Kathy had wrote the article, and these are people who...
commented.
Yeah. My name is Renee, and I have family in St. Louis. So when we go, we make a trip to the Lemp Mansion. Our last visit was on March 24th, 2003. They arrived around 8:30. I don't know why I go back and forth between reading it in their perspective and then I talk about it in mine. Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. So they had a dinner party going on. And so they were like, you can still look on the main floor or upstairs. Just kind of be quiet. Mm-hmm. They had never been to the attic. And so that's where they headed first. So they wanted to see where Bob stayed. And they were just kind of creeped out because it was dark as fuck. And they're like, all right, no. Well, they turned around to leave, and all 4 of them got instant chills because they heard a little boy say, come play with me. So she was like, shut up to her brother. And he was like, I did not say anything. And he was like, freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then the boy repeated it again, saying, come play with me. And she was like, looked to her husband and gave him what the fuck eyes. And he was like shook his head and was ushering her out, let's go.
Yeah.
And she was like, won't go back to the attic again.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's a lot for her to always make that trip.
Yeah.
And then be like, that's the one place we're not going to go. So I read on Reddit someone, and she posted a lot of information, but the one huge thing, she brought some wooden trains from her little brother, and she put them up there. No, she put them in her room. Then they're like, we're going to go up to the attic, whatever. She went, found them, put them up there, was like, we're just going to leave them while we go investigate. marked a spot where they could see if it moved. Mm-hmm. They went up there and they couldn't find the trains anywhere. Like, gone.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, fuck. What do we do? You know, came time to check out. They had some other crap happen to them, like EVPs and all, but she couldn't find them. So she's like, you know, whatever. One morning she got a call from someone who worked there. She said she saw them leave on the security camera. She wanted to know if they made it home okay. Because they left at like 4 a.m.
Oh, so okay.
That's why. Sorry, left that part out. I was trying to merge this like 3 long page thing and I fucked it all up. Y'all just wait for sinister sightings. She asked me if any of us forgot a pillow with a pink and blue pillowcase on it. Shit, mine. That's my pillow, but I wouldn't be able to get back. So just do what you want to do with it. And she's like, okay, dear, I'll probably throw a different case over it. Would you also like me to get rid of the wooden trains that were inside of it?
What?
Yeah. Also, that they would just use a random person's pillow again. What?
Yeah, that's gross.
But, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I just thought that was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
Okay, coming to the end, and you know, my bedazzled boo, he shows up everywhere. Uh-huh. He actually haunts the places, okay?
Right.
Like, these ghosts are like, fuck.
When he walks in.
As usual, I'm not going to go through all of their shit, because I'm sure he got possessed and was aggressive. Mm-hmm. Something happened. They got scared. He said, Donna, I love you. And I said, oh, God, no.
Yeah.
That. Okay. Yeah. So they spoke with a woman who had worked in the mansion for 20 plus years and also a maintenance man named Chris. On the first floor of the mansion, it's used as a restaurant, like we know. And she said that she has seen something there every single day that she has worked.
Damn.
Once she was sleeping on a pull-out bed during an event that had overnight guests, and she heard the door open. She pulled the covers over her head, like experienced people do, but she felt the presence walk around her bed and lean over her. And then it moaned in the most terrifying way, like right in front of her face, but it's covered with a sheet.
What?
A guy named Matt Bell and his wife owns the mansion now, like at the time that this was. Mm-hmm. And his wife was in the room dusting and cleaning things. She left to go to another room, and then she came back 15 minutes later, and all of the paintings were upside down.
What?
Yeah. And then one other thing. So Zach, Bedazzled Boo, he was showing the viewers, a.k.a. me, a map of the caves beneath the mansion and, you know, like talking all about it. Well, their photographer who sets up like shots, like this is where it would be a good angle to get all of this, blah, blah, blah. And he like goes and marks stuff with like X's on tape. So their photographer, Mike Stodden, was walking down, and before he walked in, he had placed his glasses in his pocket because walking down the steps, he was like, I'll fall, like it's dark, whatever. So did that. Well, a few yards, he felt for him, but his pocket was empty. And he was like, where the fuck were my glasses?
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, look, we're about to film. I'll find them in a minute. Like, I got to keep going and mark some shit. So he went about 50 feet down, like still marking off stuff. And he was like, damn, there's some glasses. Picked them up, like shined a light and was like, these look like mine. Put them on his prescription. He was
holy
like,
shit.
He had not been there.
Yeah.
50 feet in front of him.
Damn.
And so, like, that is a lot of what people say is, like, stuff goes missing and then it's found somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, that is the story of Lemp Mansion.
Do we think they were cursed because of the Native Americans that were in the tunnels?
That's what they say, because he went and built over the caves and stuff. I mean, it wasn't like they were like, you motherfucker, you built over me. It was their torment and that negative energy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it is, but that's what it would be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like they say, money cannot buy happiness.
No.
And it cannot save you from a curse.
Nope. Sure can make things easier.
Sure can. I mean, I'll take your money.
Look, let me prove you wrong.
Oh my God, that's a good. We need to do a scientific study, but we're going to need at least $100,000.
Each.
Yeah, each.
And
you can tell we're not rich because I say $100,000, not $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, $100,000, that'll do great.
That'll put a huge dent in both of our houses.
Yeah. All right. Now let's creep it real with Kerri's story.
Okay. This is the big one.
Oh, shit.
It's practically a book over here. Okay. We are doing what some people consider to be the OG female serial killer of the United States. We're hitting it up with the monster Aileen Wuornos.
Ooh, she's a bad bitch.
Some stuff, again, says that she was like the original, like the first female serial killer in the United States, but...
that's wrong because we've already talked about... Well, when was this?
This was like in the 80s.
Yeah.
So she's not.
She's not. Because we talked about Old Charleston Jail, that lady.
And Nanny Dodd, wasn't she?
Nanny Doss?
Same thing.
Yes. And your Bloody Benders.
True.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Already off to this is all false. Fake news. Fake news.
Okay. So Aileen was born Aileen Carol Pittman in Troy, Michigan on February 29th, 1956. So her mom, Diane Wuornos, she was 14 years old when she married Eileen's father, Leo Dale Pittman. So they had been married just around 2 years when Aileen was born. And so her mom was only 16.
Wow.
And just a couple of months before Aileen was born, Diane had filed for divorce. Eileen's brother, Keith, was born on March 14th, 1955. So Diane Wuornos was, again, very young, like right around that kind of 15, 16-year-old age when she had Aileen. And so she was one of those mothers that couldn't really cope and all of that. Aileen actually never met her father. When she was born, he was incarcerated.
Aww.
And, along the way, he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was in jail because he was convicted of sex crimes against children.
Oh, shit.
And then while he was in prison, on January 30th of 1969, he committed suicide by hanging himself in prison.
Ooh.
Yeah. So poor thing, what is not off to a good start in her childhood. So when Aileen was 4 years old, her mom, Diane, abandoned her and her brother.
Fuck.
And left them with their maternal grandparents, Laurie and Britta Wuornos. And they almost said illegally. They legally adopted them on March 18th of 1960. So that's how she got the Wuornos.
Okay, I was
name.
wondering.
Even though her mom had abandoned her and she was adopted by the grandparents, you're like, okay, new start.
Yeah.
No. When she was 6 years old, just to show the amount of neglect and all of that was in her life when she was 6 years old, she and her brother were playing with fire. Just
God.
Yeah, here, let's just see what this lighter fluid and these matches will do. And so, of course, the fire got out of control.
Yeah.
Because she's 6, so that makes him, 2?
Yeah.
And so she ended up getting burns on her face that, never healed. So she had scars on her face for, the rest of her life.
Okay.
When she was 11, she began to use sexual activities in order to get what she wanted.
11?
Yeah, so she would exchange sex for cigarettes, drugs, and food.
God.
At the age of 11.
Bless it.
So it's said that her grandfather was an alcoholic who would sexually assault her and beat her.
Fuck.
And that, like, before he would beat her, he would force her to completely strip out of her clothes. She also, allegedly, had sexual whatever, intercourse, something, with her brother.
Oh, God. Ugh.
So, when she was 14, this was in 1970, she got pregnant. And it's said that her grandfather's friends would rape her too.
Fuck.
I know. And so that she was actually pregnant by one of her grandfather's friends. And so she went off to a home basically for unwed mothers to have the baby. And she had a boy, but...
Well, God, that was probably a vacation for her.
I know. But then she gave the baby up for adoption. So a couple months after her son was born, she dropped out of school. Her grandmother died of liver failure. And so when she was 15, her grandfather threw her out of the house.
Damn, I'm surprised he didn't just lock her up and keep her as a fucking...
sex slave.
Mm-hmm.
Unwilling sex slave.
Unwilling, yes.
So she's 15. She's kicked out on the streets. What the hell is a 15-year-old to do to have money on the streets with the life that she's lived?
Yeah, I mean, hell, she's got tons of experience. That is a learned behavior now.
Yeah. So, of course, she turns to sex work to, survive. Yeah. So, when she was 18 years old, she was arrested in Jefferson County, Colorado for driving under the influence, or DUI, or some stuff's driving while intoxicated, DWI, but here it's a DUI, for disorderly conduct and firing a .22 caliber pistol at a moving vehicle.
Damn.
Then, in 1976, she hitchhiked to Florida.
Ugh.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
No.
When she got to Florida, she met a guy named Louis Gratz Fell. He was a 69-year-old that was like the president of a yacht club.
Damn.
I know.
Go get it, sugar daddy.
I know. Yeah, because so she would have been 20.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up actually getting married.
Damn, did he have a prenup?
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead. I was living in a fantasy over here.
As one would expect, someone with this history, she had a very short temper, she was very aggressive, everything. Because how the hell else is how's she going to survive?
Yeah.
And so she had a lot of confrontations in bars. She was arrested for assault. She would hit Louis Fell with his cane. So he... Sorry, that is fucking savage.
Like, she didn't even have to say, go pick a brand, like a switch. No, she was like, come here. Like, damn.
I know.
I mean, resourceful, but...
Damn. Back in the day, you had to do that? Go pick your own switch? No, your parents didn't spank you.
My daddy spanked me one time with his leather belt, and I'll never forget it. Mm-mm.
Oh, I had to go pick my switch many a times.
Mm-mm.
Many a times.
Actually, I was a good kid.
No, the fuck you weren't. And you just didn't get spanked. The other thing that we had, not only sometimes going to pick your own switch, but my grandma, who, like, kept us, like, we didn't go to, like, after-school care because my mom worked. We would go to her house. She kept a fly swatter above the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. So if she reached for the fly swatter, you done for.
Okay, I did have a fly swatter on my legs.
I don't remember where I got hit with it, but I did get hit with it a lot because I was a shithead.
My mom said, there is a fly on you. Sorry. Nah.
I got it. I got the belt. I got it all.
Well, you were bad.
I was bad.
You're bad.
And I was the kid that would, like, put your hands behind your back on your butt, and they'd be like, if you don't move your hands, I'm going to hit them with the belt. And I was like, no. And then they would, and that hurt. Except for one time, this is total tangent, and I need to not do so many tangents on this long-ass story, but as I got older, when my mom would spank me, I would fake cry and then go in my room and crack up.
Damn. Oh, and that is the making
of Okay. So her husband, Louis, he got a restraining order on her because she was hitting him with his cane.
Yeah, he got caned. Fuck.
So.
Oh my God, sorry. This is how my brain works. Okay. So I said he was a sugar daddy. And then he got caned.
With a sugar cane?
And I was like, damn, it's a sugar cane. But it ain't sweet.
Damn. Damn. I mean, but I was picking up what you were putting down. So, okay. In July of 1976, so not, this is like they just got married kind of thing. She was arrested and charged with assault and disturbing the peace for throwing a cue ball at a bartender's head.
Damn.
Yes.
She really meant like balls to the walls.
So on July 17th, so that was the 14th. On the 17th, her brother Keith died of esophageal cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And so she got a $10,000 payout from his life insurance.
Okay.
So on July 21st, after only 9 weeks of marriage, they annulled their marriage.
Oh.
In August, she was given a $105 fine for drunk driving. And so she used the money from Keith's inheritance to pay that off. And then she spent the rest within 2 months buying anything she could. She bought a new car. She wrecked it right after she got it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so it was out of money in 2 months. 10 G's.
Damn.
So on May 20th of 1981, she was arrested in Edgewater, Florida for armed robbery of a convenience store. She stole $35 and 2 packs of cigarettes.
Man, the cigarettes will get you every time.
So she went to prison for about a year, from May to June of the next year.
You're just for about a year. A year can change you, people.
I think she was already changed. I think life had already changed her.
Yeah.
So she spent a year in prison. The next year, she was arrested for attempting to pass forged checks in Key West.
Damn.
And then the next year, she was a suspect in the theft of a revolver and some ammunition in Pasco County. So she's coming north a little bit now.
Yeah.
The next year, she was arrested in Miami and charged with car theft, resisting arrest, and obstruction of justice because she used her aunt's ID card. And so they're saying it wasn't her. When she was arrested, the Miami police found a .38 caliber revolver, ammunition, all that in a stolen car that she was in.
God, fucking trifecta.
Uh-huh. So 6 months later, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but imagine that. The Volusia County deputy sheriff arrested her, or they held her for questioning after essentially a John, they call a male companion. Said that she was in his car and she just pulled a gun out on him and was like, give me fucking $200.
Well, he wanted to get fucked.
What?
But don't you love how they say a male companion, but then they would call her
a prostitute?
Uh-huh.
Oh, prostitute is through all this stuff that I found. Some stuff did say sex worker, and I was like, go you.
Yeah. They needed a word count, though.
True. When she was, brought in for questioning on that, they, of course, found her to have spare ammunition, a .22 caliber pistol, and, all that was underneath the passenger seat where she was sitting. So around this time is when Aileen met Tyra Moore. She was a maid in a hotel, and they met at a gay bar in Daytona Beach.
Okay.
So Aileen was the breadwinner of the relationship.
Oh, gosh.
And she was, through as a sex worker.
Yeah.
So on July 4th of 1987, the Daytona police pulled in Aileen and Tyra for some questioning, and Aileen called her Ty. So if I flip back and forth, it's because that's what she called her. So they were accused of being involved in an assault incident in a bar with a beer bottle. Then, on March 12th of 88, so almost a year later, Aileen accused a Daytona Beach bus driver of assault. She said that he pushed her off the bus after they had a confrontation, and she listed Tyra Moore as a witness to the incident.
Oh, just so happens.
Yeah. So there was a guy named Richard Mallory. He was one that I love this. One of the articles said, like to change now and again.
What?
No, like in his life.
Oh, I thought you meant liked to change.
No, liked a change in his life.
Okay.
He lived in Clearwater, Florida. He was an electronics repair man. He owned the business of the electronics repair. So he was one that would just randomly close down his business so that he could and just disappear for a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was not a nice man.
Oh, lovely.
So when he would be gone for those few days is he would go on drinking and sex binges.
Wow.
I don't know why this is important, but one thing said that he changed his locks to his apartment 8 times in 3 years. So I don't know if it's because he had a lot of enemies or he had a lot of sex workers and stuff that he would bring home and all of that. And so he just changed his locks often. So his poor employees, he would only keep them long enough to clear the backlog of work that he had let pile up while he was gone for days. So he would hire these people, they'd catch him up on his work, then he would let them all go. And then he would disappear again. It said that one of the articles said his only constants were alcohol, sex, and paranoia.
Gosh.
So in December of 1989, when he didn't show up, nobody cared. Well, not cared, but nobody thought it was abnormal because he would go on these benders where he would disappear.
He just wanted to change. No worries.
Yeah. So, of course, no one was close enough to him. He's paranoid, all that. So nobody noticed he was gone. It wasn't until they found his 1977 Cadillac a few days later outside of Daytona that anybody was like, that's weird.
Oh, damn.
So on December 13th, 1989, 2 men were looking along a dirt road for some scrap metal, and they were close to I-95, which is the main interstate going through Florida. And they found a body wrapped in carpet.
Oh.
So they took some fingerprints because, it's Florida. Even though it's December, Florida ain't that fucking cold.
Right.
I mean, cold Florida is 50.
Yeah.
And so the body was very decomposed, but they took some fingerprints from him and found that he had been shot 3 times with a .22 caliber pistol. From the fingerprints, they identified him as Richard Mallory. He had been shot. 2 of the bullets went into his lungs, and that was what was the cause of death.
Oh, man.
So after they looked into this for months, trying to figure out what happened to him, to Richard, and they're kind of realizing that his lifestyle and how many enemies he had and how many, blah, blah, blah. They honed in on a sex worker by the name of Chastity. She was a stripper, so would you call that a sex worker? I don't know where she draws her line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I called her a sex worker, but according to the articles, yeah, she was a dancer, a stripper. So let us know if I'm an asshole because I called her a stripper. But there wasn't a whole lot, there was nothing to show that Chastity had done it.
Yeah.
So then, on June 1st, 1990, a nude body was found along Florida State Road 19 in Citrus County. The body had been shot 6 times, and it was identified as construction worker David Spears, and he was 43. On June 6th, the body of Charles Karzakadon, I don't know. Charles was found in Pasco County, and so he had been shot 9 times with a small caliber weapon.
Gosh.
And so his body was found just days after David Spears. Did I say that Charles was a part-time rodeo worker?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was a part-time rodeo worker, and he was the 9 times he was shot in the chest and the stomach. So a month later, on July 4th, there was a car going down State Road 315 near Orange Springs, Florida, that was just driving erratically and came to rest in some bushes. Rhonda Bailey was a lady who was just sitting on her porch, minding her own business. I picture her in a rocking chair, smoking a cigarette with
her moo-moo.
with some sweet tea.
Mm-hmm.
Or a beer.
And some curlers in her hair. No, it's kind of hot to do that.
She has a ceiling fan going on her porch.
Yep.
She may even have it screened in because they screen in everything in fucking South Florida.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm guessing. We're painting you a picture of fake news. So she's sitting on her porch and she sees that whole like accident thing happen. She said that she saw two women get out of the car like panicking, throwing beer cans.
Were you about to say cunt?
No, beer cans into the woods and swearing at each other. So,
don't try to church it up.
No, I wasn't. She said that there were, again, two women. One had brown hair. One had blonde hair. The lady with the blonde hair, her arm was bleeding from the accident. And that the blonde is the one who was kind of the dominant one, did most of the talking. So the blonde-haired lady was like to Rhonda Bailey, please don't call the cops. Like, my father lives just up the road. Please don't call the cops. So she and then the other girl got back into the car. It was like smashed to hell and back.
Yeah.
Like the windshield was out. Other windows were out. God. And so they got in the car and it drove like just a little bit. And so they abandoned it. Yeah. Hubert Hewitt. That's a hard name.
Yeah.
So he was in the Orange Springs Volunteer Fire Department. He was the one who responded to the call of the accident. And so he asked the two women, like, hey, were y'all the ones in the car? Like, are you okay? And the blonde one, like, was like, fuck you, it wasn't us. Like, cussed him out and was like, leave us the fuck alone. I don't want any help. And so he left him alone and they walked off. So then the Marion County Sheriff's Department, or sheriff's deputies, found the car, like, right where the women had left it. It was a 1988 Pontiac Sunbird, not a sunburn. This is me jealous, projecting, because my whole family's swimming right now and we're freaking recording. I'm not jealous. I'm just saying. I'm jealous. But the glass in the front was, like I said, the windshield in the front and on, like, the doors was all smashed. There were blood stains throughout the car and the license plate was missing.
Suspect.
Yeah. So they did a quick little computer search on the VIN number and they figured out that the car belonged to Peter Sims. I'm assuming it's pronounced Sims. It's S-I-E-M-S. So I'm going to say Sims. If it's not, sorry, Peter. And Peter had disappeared on June 7th. He left his home. He lived in Jupiter, Florida, and he was heading to visit some relatives in Arkansas. So he was a retired merchant seaman, much like your pops. Mm-hmm. He was 65 years old. He was, like, very devoted. Most of his time was spent volunteering for a Christian outreach ministry. And so the Jupiter police had been working the case for Sims since he was reported missing. They had sent out a nationwide teletype saying, like, look, these are the two women that were, seen in this car.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. And so he also sent a synopsis of the case and the sketches of the women to the Florida Criminal Activity Bulletin. And so he was like, I'm not optimistic that we're going to find him alive, but, like, here are these women. So then, on July 31st, 1990, Troy Burris was reported missing. On August 4th, 1990, his body was found in a wooded area alongside State Road 19 in Marion County. He was shot twice, and, like, so this is kind of the progression of him. So Troy was a delivery driver for Gilchrist Sausage, and so early on the morning of July 30th, he was doing his deliveries. And when he didn't come back that afternoon, his manager, Johnny Mae Thompson, was like, what the fuck? Where is he? So she started calling around and realized that he didn't show up for, like, the last few deliveries or the last few stops of his deliveries. So late that night, she and her husband went out looking for him. Well, at 2 a.m., Burris's wife reported him missing. At 4 a.m., the Marion County Sheriff's deputies, they found his truck, like I said, on the shoulder of the State Road 19.
Okay.
That's like 20 miles east of Ocala. It was unlocked and the keys were missing, and obviously so was Troy. He was found 5 days later. A family was out for a picnic in the Ocala National Forest, and they found his body in a clearing just off the Highway 19, about 8 miles from where his truck was found.
Dang, that's why I don't go in the woods. I don't want to find a dead body.
Not even National Forest woods. No, thank you. So, again, especially him, kind of like before, it's Florida, it's hot as fuck, it's humid as fuck. Ugh. And they're in Ocala, so that's like 2 hours north of Tampa. That was always my place, like, yes, I'm in Ocala. 2 more hours. This is the easy part of the drive. Like, I can do it. So the body was decomposed so much that they couldn't make an identification at the scene of who he was, but his wife identified him through his wedding ring.
Oh, gosh.
So he'd been killed by a .22 caliber gun, sound familiar? Mm-hmm. With 2 shots, one to the chest and one to the back. So they initially thought that, because there was a local drifter in the area named Curtis Michael Blankenship, and he had been hitchhiking on Highway 90 the same day that Troy Burris disappeared is what I almost said. And so he was also kind of like picked up close to the abandoned truck. So they're like, must be him. Mm-hmm. So as the case progressed, they were like, okay, clearly it wasn't him. And fuck, we're out of suspects.
Yeah.
So Charles Dick Humphreys. I knew you were going to laugh at that. Dick Humphreys. Okay, so he was a retired U.S. Air Force major. He worked he had just done his last day of work for the Sumterville office of the Florida's Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services. God dang, that was a mouthful. For the Department of Health, he was an investigator that specialized in investigating cases of abuse and injured children.
Oh, gosh.
And he was about to transfer to the department's Ocala office when he went missing. So he was also a retired police chief from Alabama. This kind of like, I mean, not that any victims are more important than others, but like he was well involved in keeping the community safe. And yada, yada. But anyway, so on September 12th, 1990, his body was found in Marion County. He had all of his clothes on, but he had been shot 6 times in the head and torso.
Fuck.
His car was later found in the Suwannee County. Lastly, we have Walter Gino Antonio. He was a police reservist, a security guard, and a truck driver.
Jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm. So his body was found November 19th, 1990, almost completely nude. He was found on a logging road in Dixie County. He had been shot 4 times. 5 days later, his car was found in Brevard County. He had been dead less than 24 hours when they found his body. Yeah. I will say that some of the information was different on the victims. Like, some stuff had even spellings of their name different, like Geno. Like, it said one thing had him Jeno, one thing had him Geno. For him, too, one thing said he was 60, one thing said he was 62. Like, yeah. So some of and I know that's just about him, but that was kind of the case on a few of them.
Okay.
So, got as much right as I think is right, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so going back, remember that on July 4th, those girls had abandoned Sim's car.
Yeah.
And so some of the people that saw them in that car knew their names. And so gave their names and the descriptions to the police, which kind of launched this huge media campaign to find them. Police had also found some of victims' belongings in pawn shops. And on those objects actually found fingerprints that matched those found in victims' cars.
Oh, damn.
So, of course, as with anything, leads start pouring in. One guy said that the 2 women had rented a trailer from him earlier that year and that their names were Tyra Moore and Lee. A woman in Tampa said that the women had worked at her motel and their names were Tyra Moore and Susan Blalovic. Then an anonymous caller said that the women were Ty Moore and Lee Blalovic, and that they bought an RV, and that Lee Blalovic was the dominant one and was a, quote, truck stop prostitute, and that they were both lesbians. I love this. This article said the mother lode, though, came from Port Orange near Daytona. So the police had been tracking who they knew of as Lee Blalovic and Tyra Moore, and had like a detailed account of their movements from September to December.
Wow.
And so they knew that they had been staying at a Fairview Motel in Harbor Oaks, where Blalovic was registered there as Cammie Marsh Green. So
how do they come up with these names?
I don't know. So they had spent some time living in a small apartment behind a restaurant near the Fairview Motel, but like returned back to the hotel. But in December, they left, and Blalovic / Green came back by herself.
Okay.
So, of course, you know, it's early 90s. They've got computers that they can search for stuff. So they do a quick little doop of her and find out, like, to get more information on Tyra Moore, Susan Blalovic, and Cammie Marsh Green, whoever in the fuck they are. So Tyra Moore didn't really have a criminal record. She had been arrested for breaking and entering in 83, but the charges were dropped. Blalovic had one trespassing arrest, and Green had no record at all. But the photograph on Blalovic's license didn't match the one for Green. So they're like, something's weird.
Yeah.
But the ID for Cammie Green was the one that paid off. So the Volusia, whatever, county, they like started checking pawn shops in the area and found that Cammie Green had pawned a camera and a radar detector, and she left a thumbprint on the receipt.
Mm.
And they figured out that those items that were pawned belonged to Richard Mallory, the first victim.
Yeah.
Then in Ormond Beach, she pawned a set of tools that matched the tools taken from David Spears' truck. Remember his name?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the thumbprint, the receipt, too, was another kind of ding moment for the investigation. So they put the thumbprint through the automated fingerprint identification system, but nothing came from the computer search. So the V-word county that I can't say, Volusia, whatever, county, they were like, okay, well, look, we're going to do a hand search of some of our fingerprints and see if she's, in there.
Yeah.
So within an hour, she found the fingerprint. The fingerprints showed up on a weapons charge against Lori Grody. A bloody palm print found in Peter Sims' Sunbird matched Lori Grody's prints. So all this information was sent to the National Crime Information Center, and they put the puzzle together and found out that Lori Grody, Susan Blalovic, Cammie Marsh Green were all aliases of Aileen Carol Wuornos.
Dun, dun, dun.
So then they were like, okay, we got to fucking find her. This is her, we got to find her. So they started the hunt on January 5th, 1991. They had 2 officers go undercover. Their names, God almighty. Their names were Bucket and Drums. So their part that they played, they were pretending to be drug dealers down from Georgia. And so they were like hitting the streets trying to find her. So on January 8th, Bucket and Drums found Aileen Wuornos at a Port Orange pub. So the whole point was for them to like gain her trust and develop this gradually so that they could get a good airtight case on her.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the Port Orange police just came in and took Aileen outside. So of course, the 2 undercovers names, which I know I always do so many names in my story, but Mike Joyner and Dick Martin were the undercover police officers, their real names. So Mike Joyner called command and was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like a 6 jurisdiction case. They're all camped out at Pirate Cove Motel.
Yeah.
You know, the task force thing is over there trying to get these. And then, like, Port Orange just comes in and, like, takes her outside for questioning.
Yeah.
And so they were like, fuck, is there, like, a leak of some sort? Like, how, you know, what happened? And so they called Port Orange Police Station, was like, tell them, do not arrest her under any circumstances. And so word got to those police officers just in time, and they let her go back to the bar. So the 2 undercovers start up a conversation again with Aileen. They bought her some beer. She left the bar at around 10. They offered to give her a ride home, and she's like, nah, I'm good. Catch you later kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was like sheer panic moment. Like that, their like sting operation was almost fucking ruined because these police officers were actually just doing their job.
Yeah.
But they had no idea that there was this huge like multi-county task force like trying to take her down. So they followed Aileen to a bar called this bar, the name of this fucking bar, Last Resort.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. So the undercovers came back and met her there. They had some more beers, shot the shit kind of thing, and left just about midnight. But Wuornos didn't leave. So she ended up, this was the night before she was arrested. So she spent the night sleeping on an old car seat in the Last Resort bar. So the next day, the 2 undercovers come back to the bar. You know, they got their little wires on there, you know, like they planned on arresting her that day because that bar, Last Resort, it was this big biker bar. And so there was supposed to be this big biker party, like barbecue happening that day. So tons of bikers were going to be coming in that afternoon. And so they were like, okay, we have to move on this or we're going to lose her kind of thing. So knowing that she had slept there, the 2 undercovers were like, hey, you want to come back to our motel room so you can get cleaned up? And she was like, yeah, thanks, actually. And so she left the bar with them.
God, I don't know why, but that breaks my heart for some reason.
I know. And so that's when they arrested her on an outstanding warrant for Lori Grody, not her. And so, like, they didn't mention anything about them murders, or they didn't even tell the media that they had, you know, had a suspect or anything, because they still didn't know where the murder weapon was and where Tyra Moore was.
Yeah.
So she was arrested on that outstanding warrant. And then the next day, police did locate Tyra Moore in Scranton, Pennsylvania. She was there with her sister, I believe. So they go up there to get her.
Yeah.
And of course, what's she do? Turn state's evidence. And so she gets immunity for everything. Wow. As long as she's a witness. And then she did like taped phone calls with Aileen to try to get confessions from her.
Never trust a criminal.
Ty said that she knew about the murders since Lee had come home with Richard Mallory's Cadillac. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that Tyra only knew her as Lee. Like, I don't think that she knew her name was Aileen, but I could be wrong about that. But she said that Lee had openly confessed that she had killed a man that day, but Moore told her not to say anything else. She said, I told her I didn't want to hear about it, and then anytime she would come home after that, she'd say certain things, tell me about where she got something. I'd say, I don't want to hear about it. She said that she's quoted saying, I was just scared. She always said she never wanted to hurt me, but then you can't believe her, so I don't know what she would have done. So they brought her back to Florida. They put her up in a motel in Daytona and told her to call who she knew of as Lee in jail and say that she had been given money to come back down, get the rest of her stuff. So they taped their phone calls, of course. She's calling her in jail, duh. And so Tyra told Aileen that the police had been questioning her and her family, and that she was so scared that the murders would be pinned on her.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that what they were hoping for was that Aileen, because she was in love with Tyra Moore and up until the day she died, said she loved her and all this stuff, that they thought that Aileen would confess to the murders. So the first call was on January 14th. So she was still under the impression that she was in jail for Lori Grody's weapons violation. When Tyra Moore was like, I'm really scared that they're going to come at me for these murders, Aileen was like, I'm only here for that concealed weapons charge in 86 and a traffic ticket. And I tell you what, this is her quote. And I tell you what, man, I read the newspaper. I wasn't one of those little suspects. So she was, again, of course, this is not her first trip around the block. She knew the phone was monitored.
Yeah.
And so she, of course, tried to talk about it in code words and, all of that. And so she said, I think somebody at work where you worked at said something that it looked like us. And it isn't us. See, it's a case of mistaken identity. So they kept on for 3 days with the calls. And, of course, the police are like, you got to get it from her. You pushing her.
Yeah.
And so, as the time passed, Aileen became less careful about the things that she would say. And so she said, this is from Aileen basically telling Tyra Moore that she's not going to let her go down with her. She said, just go ahead and let them know what you need to know, what they want to know or anything. I will cover for you because you're innocent. I'm not going to let you go to jail. Listen, if I have to confess, I will. And then on January 16th is when Aileen started talking.
Oh, shit.
So she confessed. She said that all of the killings were done in self-defense. She said that all of the victims had either raped her, assaulted her, threatened her. But her story always kind of changed and developed as she was telling it. Mm-hmm. So if she said something that was kind of incriminating, she would back up and be like, no, this is what I meant kind of thing, to change the details to make them fit her.
Yeah.
She said that basically she had been raped so many times in the past that she was like, I've had enough. I'm done with it. These motherfuckers that treat me like shit because I'm a sex worker and rape me and all this stuff, I'm done. And so, of course, people are like, what the fuck? A female serial killer? This is not unheard of, but unheard of. You know? So people were coming out of the fucking woodworks trying to get to her and get information, blah, blah, blah. So about that time, a lady by the name of Aileen Praley, who is a, quote, born-again Christian.
Oh, Lord.
Who also ran a horse breeding and boarding facility near Ocala, said that she had seen Aileen's picture and wrote a letter to Aileen and said, my name is Aileen Praley. I'm born again. You're going to think I'm crazy, but Jesus told me to write you. She gave Aileen her phone number, and of course, Aileen called her, and almost immediately, Aileen was like, we have to help her, and blah, 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 blah. And this fucking Aileen was all about trying to get money. She appeared on different talk shows and all this. Aileen, the lady that I was just telling you about, the born-again Christian lady.
Oh, okay.
She ended up adopting Aileen.
What?
Mm-hmm. An adult adoption. Mm-hmm. Ended up adopting her so that she could protect her, quote unquote.
Oh, gosh.
AKA make money off of her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she and her husband legally adopted her because God told her to. So a year later, Aileen went on trial for the murder of Richard Mallory. What's crazy is that they say that, in Florida law, it's called Williams Rule. The prosecution was allowed to introduce evidence of her other crimes to show a pattern.
Oh.
But this is what's fucked up. So Richard Mallory had a history of, as a sex offender, and they were not allowed to bring that up in trial.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So basically, she ended up recanting on the fact that she said that all of the men raped her. She ended up being okay, because she's, born again now because she's been adopted by the born again Christians. And so she said, I can't lie anymore. Richard Mallory was the only one that raped me. I killed him out of self-defense. And personally, I think like, she really had. She had enough. And when he raped her, she was like, fuck you, and killed him.
She snapped.
Yeah. And then it just kept down a path of robbing these other men to get money. They'd offer a ride or whatever, and then she would just kill them for their money. Mm-hmm. But, so, according to her later, the only person that raped her was Richard. And so it just fucking sucks that, I mean, not saying that one is right or wrong or that, you know, but I think that there's a really good chance that she did kill him in self-defense.
Yeah. And
so it just sucks that all of her history was able to be presented, but not his as part of her defense. And I'm not saying we should victim blame, and I'm not, but I really do think that it was self-defense against him.
Well, and even then, like you're saying, it's a two-way street. Mm-hmm. That's not fair.
Right.
Because, you know, we're not supposed to be biased, but that seems biased.
Right, right. So she, with all the sentencing and all of that, she was, you know, because they had to determine if she was mentally stable. They diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. And they did decide that she was mentally stable and sentenced her to death. That was the only, like, trial that she had. She just pled guilty to the rest. And so she received 5 death sentences.
Gosh.
They never found Sim's body.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Did she say what happened?
No. No charges were ever brought against her for him because they never found his body. But, so, in total, she received 6 death sentences.
Fuck.
Yeah. So they did a psychopathy checklist on her, is what the test is called. She scored a 32 out of 40. And so the checklist, when you look at, like, the norms, anything above a 25 is consistent with a diagnosis of psychopathy. And she scored a 32.
Damn.
Out of 40. Okay, so she was eventually, you know, in prison, just to kind of, I'm going to go through this part quickly, but she clearly had a ton of mental illness issues. And she was very paranoid, and she said that the prison corrections officers were poisoning her food with dirt, saliva, and urine. And that she says that she had overheard conversations among prison personnel saying that they are trying to get me so pushed over the brink that I wind up committing suicide before the execution and wishing to rape me before the execution.
Do you think that's true? I mean, I know that it's more important about the raping and all that, but the food, spitting, urine.
I don't think so. She would, of course, complain about the strip searches, the tight handcuffs. She said that they would kick her door, do, like, ungodly amount of, like, window checks on her, because that's, you know, and that she had really low water pressure. Her mattress was mildewed, that they would do catcalling to her in distaste and pure hatred towards me, is what she said. So she tried to boycott showers in the food trays, and she would, like, have to take showers, like, with just, like, the sink in her cell. But so basically there was just, like, a whole thing about how she was treated in prison. But I don't know what is true.
Yeah.
Because she had, which is the perfect person. If you're a conspiracy theorist, she's the perfect person to do this to, because she is paranoid. So, okay. She was given a $20 allowance for her final meal. And at first she said that she wanted, I think, Popeyes. Honestly. I know it was fried chicken, but one thing I read said Popeyes.
Oh, my gosh.
But instead, she decided just to do a cup of coffee.
Oh, my God.
Her last words were, this just shows her mental illness. Her last words were, "Yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the rocks and I'll be back, like Independence Day, with Jesus. June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back. I'll be back."
What?
Yeah. Her body was cremated and her ashes were spread beneath a tree in Michigan.
With her family? Mm-hmm. Like her adopted family?
Her real family.
The adopted family didn't want her.
I guess not. They got theirs. She requested that Natalie Merchant's song Carnival be played at her funeral.
Girl, that is my jam.
Mm-hmm. And so in the documentary, Aileen, Life and Death of a Serial Killer.
That's on Netflix.
Yeah. The final credits, that when they rolled, they play Natalie Merchant's Carnival.
Oh my gosh. I've got to watch that. God, that makes me tear up.
And so, okay, this is a quote from Natalie Merchant. When she was asked, like, why'd you let them, blah, blah, blah. She said, when director Nick Broomfield sent a working edit of the film, I was so disturbed by the subject matter that I couldn't even watch it. Aileen Wuornos led a torturing life that is beyond my worst nightmares. It wasn't until I was told that Aileen spent many hours listening to my album, Tiger Lily, while on death row and requested Carnival be played at her funeral that I gave permission for its use of the song. It's very odd to think of the places my music can go once it leaves my hands. If it gave her some solace, I have to be grateful.
Gosh, what happened to Natalie Merchant?
I don't know.
Loved that fucking CD.
Okay, so I'm going to skip a lot, but there are tons of books and movies and blah, 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 blah. But, there's this one interview, and I think it's in the documentary that you're going to watch, so spoiler alert, kind of. Not really, but kind of. This is the day before she was executed, and Nick Broomfield, the director, just said, he goes, I'm just wondering how you're going to be, at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Are you prepared? And she says, I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it. And he said, and how? And she said, I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. But like I said, remember and let them know that I know that the cops knew who I was after Richard Mallory died. I left prints everywhere and they covered it up. They let me kill the rest of those guys to turn me into a serial killer. I know they did because I was no professional serial killer or anything or murderer or whatever you want to call it. I wasn't special. I was just did some sloppy work, left prints. And then he said, how have you prepared yourself? And she said, I'm all right with it. Hey, I'm ready to go. Hey, I was tortured in BCI, the prison she was in. This is so choppy because she's so choppy and it makes no fucking sense. She said they had the intercom on in my room and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997. Gosh. He said sonic pressure. She said every time I was trying to write something, they did. I think they had some kind of eye in the cell. I'm not sure, but every time I started writing something, it went higher. Something that I think they probably had the TV rigged, the TV or the mirror. Something was rigged. They got this huge satellite on the compound. After they put the huge satellite on the compound, it could have been either rigged to the TV or to the mirror or something. But the electrician, when he put up the mirror on the wall, said, don't they look like computer? And back off and stuck it to the wall. And then, again, she talks about they were crushing her head with sonic pressure and how much she suffered and
going through that in her head.
I know. And so, again, this is all in that documentary, and I'm not going to tell you everything that's in it because, obviously watch it. But basically she says, I'm a hitchhiking hooker. Like, they knew it was me. Running into trouble, I'd shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble, the cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets. And then we will pull her in, and that's why. Again, she talks about, you sabotaged my ass society, the cops in the system, a raped woman got executed. It was used for books and movies and shit, ladder climbs, re-elections, and everything else. Okay, so she says that because she was on death row for 10 years, and Jeb Bush was up for re-election and deemed her mentally stable enough for her execution.
Oh.
So that's why she's like, yeah, you're using me for fucking re-elections and shit.
Yeah.
And so she died of lethal injection.
Wow.
Yep. And so that is Aileen Wuornos. I didn't watch Monster when it first came out. I think it came out in 2002, 2003. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I did watch it a few years later, and it really stuck with me,
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Christina Ricci played Tyra.
Oh, I could see that.
And I don't know. Yeah, I want to watch this documentary too on Netflix that is that those quotes came from, because I've seen those quotes on YouTube and all that, and just God love her. she had
Yeah.
so much. I mean, she didn't stand a chance. She did not stand a chance from the day she was born to a 16-year-old mother who's, not saying that all 16-year-old mothers can't handle it, but a 16-year-old mother whose father was in prison, killed himself, was abandoned, you know, and then brought up in the, she did not stand a chance.
You know, what's going through my head is how people are like, is it nature or nurture? And I've always said, I mean, there's a little bit of nature, but a whole lot of nurture. Mm-hmm. And through all of this, I'm like, I was fucking right, because look at all of it.
But you could also argue that it's nature, because her dad was in jail he was a sex offender. Her mom's father, her grandfather, was a sex offender. You know, like, she had these criminals that in her blood. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's either one's right or wrong. I'm just saying it. So you could argue, but it's both, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely both, but it's way more nurture.
But right now, not push, but so there's this really great photograph of her that we'll put up on the website of her in handcuffs, and she has the handcuffs like up around her neck. Like, and there, I saw a t-shirt that had that picture on it, and it said #MeToo. And so they're really kind of using her as part of the Me Too movement for the abuse that she sustained in the past from her family members, from men who were her clients, you know, all of these things.
Yeah.
That it was what broke her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying, you know. So I don't know. This is a really long case, and I know this is a really long episode, but there's so much that I left out of her. Yeah. I mean, we could do 3 episodes just on her.
Yeah.
But I do recommend Monster. That was a good movie. It made me so uncomfortable because it's so powerful, you know, because it did its job.
Did it stay pretty true to what you know now?
Yeah, there was a lot more details of, like, the interactions between Aileen and Tyra, and, you know, it would show her, like, go off to make money, and then she would kill someone, and it gave me a lot of anxiety, because it was, like, always something kind of, like, looming over them because they were broke, and she was killing these people, and, you know, it just, but until the day she died, she professed her love for Tyra.
Gosh.
Who flipped on her in a hot second.
That's how love works.
Well, and, you know, they had from what I remember from Monster, they had a pretty toxic relationship, too.
I would imagine.
In that, I mean, there's mental illness running rampant through this. Untreated mental illness. I think I should preface, because, I mean, I have a mental illness. I mean, I have.
Me too.
You know, severe anxiety and depression, and, you know, severe is a strong word. Moderate anxiety and depression, I guess I would say. And I take medicine for it, you know, but it's just, they have some serious mental illness of antisocial personality disorder and all of that that's untreated. And that's where it all falls apart.
Yeah. Gosh. This is one of those cases that it's hard for me to judge her and what she did, because I feel so bad for her. But then again, I'm like, no. Okay, if she would have just killed
Richard.
Yeah, I'd been like, but yeah, that would be a case. Like, I would be more behind her. Yeah. But then you keep going, and she kept going.
And killing what appears to be, even though she changed her story a ton, what appears to be just innocent people who may have just stopped to help her. Yeah. And instead of just robbing them, she robbed and murdered them.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, no, I mean, I'm definitely not saying she's anything. It just proves, again, everyone's a victim in these stories.
Yeah. What makes this podcast and this so difficult, too, is that nothing's black and white.
No.
And that's what makes, I mean, you know, our whole conversation on the prison system before, and Jessica's email about her family's history with family members who had been murdered and all of that. And, you know, it's very complicated. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
So, on that note, what did we learn?
1, money cannot buy happiness.
Right. It sure can make it a lot easier, though.
Yes.
Because...
Well, you know what? Money can buy happiness.
Temporarily.
Well, I feel like they don't say eternal happiness. Because I can buy something and that makes me damn happy.
True.
For, you know what I mean? Like, I don't keep paying for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's done its job.
But, too, I mean, if you look at it, the money buying happiness and all, I mean, we have two extremes in our stories. You know, you have the multimillionaires who had everything and still resulted from mental illness, untreated, misunderstood mental illness, mass suicide, basically.
Yeah.
Not mass suicide. That's extreme. But you know what I mean? Multiple.
You're to an extreme today, apparently.
I am. I'm very black and white today, even though our stories aren't. But yeah, I mean, these people who killed themselves because of their untreated mental illness because they couldn't cope with whatever.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, you have Aileen Wuornos, who was dirt ass poor, who had nothing.
Yeah.
And same situation, untreated mental illness that led to death as well. It just happened to not be hers. It happened to be other people's. Whereas these people over here just took it on themselves. She took it on other people.
Yeah. So true. I think what would be a better saying than money can't buy happiness? Money
can't buy comfort. Internal comfort.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
I mean, I could be in a plush chair, you know. Yeah. I mean, but like, it didn't give them what they needed. Like
money can't buy salvation.
And not in the, like, heaven or hell salvation.
No, yeah, internally.
Mental salvation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also we can say that mental illness does not discriminate.
That's number 2.
Okay, number 2.
No, because again, the wealthy of the wealthy, us, who's middle low of the road.
Yeah.
And then again, someone who's the lowest of socioeconomic class.
Yeah.
You know, homeless and making it through this life as a sex worker. That's the only way she could make money.
Yeah. Okay, we have to end on a better note.
Okay, number 3, there is hope.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm not saying like the true crime podcast, mainly ours, no, but I feel like shit is being more accepted now.
Mm-hmm. If you went to therapy or you take medicine or anything like that, like I think that people are finally understanding that mental illness is not something that you can just say, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and get over it.
Yeah.
It's not that way. And I think that that's coming. People are understanding more self-medication through drugs and alcohol as it relates to mental illness for people who either don't have access to proper mental health care or money to afford medications, what have you. And that kind of the trickle-down impact of mental illness as it relates to poverty and homelessness and cycles of abuse and all of those things. And so the hope and the positivity in this is that through podcasting, through different social media platforms, and you know, even like that, I think it's called Get Help. It's a website where you can have access to counselors or for therapy, you know, through your phone, through your computer, through whatever. And so if you're not comfortable going to find somebody local where you sit down and have a conversation, you can do it through technology. And I think that through that growth, it's the outlook has to be better.
Yeah. I feel like too, and again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not out there. I don't surround myself with like just tons of people, you know, to say this. I'm just guessing. But I feel like a lot of people don't say, what's wrong? Like, something's wrong with you. Like, you're messed up as, you know what I mean? Like, it's, okay, you have this issue.
Right.
It's your health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's instead of like, you're broken, you're no good because like you're crazy. You know what I mean? It's not just that. Like, people now understand, oh, my mom also has depression and you have depression. Like, and it can be different.
Right.
But you know what I mean? I feel like now, because it is getting more widespread, I don't know. And people could be listening and be like, no. But
well, I mean, there's always going to be ignorance. There's always two sides of the coin. For every time that we move forward in the mental health community, there's always going to be some steps back. There's some pushbacks. But, as much as I hate to admit this, fucking Kanye West, I hate him. But he just not too long ago came out that he is bipolar and that he has been bipolar forever. And, talks about how in the African American community, there's, mental illness that people don't recognize or treat, and just the cultural implications of having a mental disorder for African Americans. And, so he really is. So, culturally, I feel like every culture has a different opinion of mental illness. And I think that we're making strides out of what we consider maybe the middle class of, oh, you have anxiety, depression, and you're just this middle class white girl,
Yeah.
And so we're making strides in those things too. So as much as I hate him, good job.
But we would love to know what you think.
Yes.
We always love feedback.
Yes. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for always supporting us and letting us be a part of your lives in these very intimate ways as we talk about difficult subjects, difficult conversations, and you open yourselves up in your emails that you send to us. We appreciate it so much. We love to hear from you. We want your feedback. We want you to email us or review us on iTunes or wherever. So let's keep the conversation open and helpful, and remember,
keep it real and don't get scared.